What if I just threw up right now? That'd be
Gross.
crazy.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
That'd be crazy if I just threw up right now.
Is this foreshadowing?
I hope not.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mediocre Takes podcast. Today we're talking about the Blue Beetle movie. Also, we will be posting the Blue Beetle graduation day comic discussion on our YouTube channel. We've been doing a monthly comic book club on our YouTube channel. Check it out, you guys, please. So yeah, let's just get started with Blue Beetle.
So I want to give some backstory behind this character before we start, because he's pretty new to the wider audience. The character Blue Beetle wasn't originally a DC character. DC acquired the rights to him in the 80s. There was a Blue Beetle before DC acquired it, and get this, Marco, his name was Dan, and he was a cop that got his powers from quote-unquote special vitamins, which was probably old-timey talk for cocaine and benzodiazepine. Later, they changed the story to be a teacher who acquired the scarab that gave him his superpowers. So, the story that we now see. Ted Kord is introduced as Dan's student, and he takes over as Blue Beetle after Dan dies. And that's where I'll end this, because that's sort of where the story takes off and, explores a different story. Okay, so the summary. Jaime Reyes becomes the next Blue Beetle after touching a scarab previously owned by Kord Industries. The corporation attacks both Jaime and his family in order to get it back, but the Reyes family fights back and takes down the baddie.
I love how Jaime is all like, I won't kill people, but the family members of that family is like, man, fuck them people. Let's murder these bitches, you know? And I just love how nonchalantly they'll kill these people, because there's no way those people are alive after that fight, you know?
No, but okay, but I absolutely love the energy of that family.
Yeah.
That's an ideal family right there. They're literally ride or die for each of the family members. It was crazy.
The family was really the best part of this movie. All the characters really stand out. I love how the grandma uses a Gatling gun. I was surprised, but I think it was actually a pretty nice comedic moment. I'm not a CGI expert, but I thought all the action scenes looked really good. I don't know. What do you think, Mel?
I think the ones where it was Jaime versus, oh god, what was his name? Give me a second. I think it's Carapax. Blue Beetle versus Carapax. Those ones were more obviously CGI because it's literally two CGI people fighting each other. But I think when it was Jaime versus the soldiers, it looked more realistic, even though the soldiers could have been CGI as well, but I don't think they were. I think they were all just stunt doubles. And because of that, it looked more realistic, and I liked those fight scenes more. But I think in general, the fight scenes were okay. They were I would say they were the standard.
Okay, I'm gonna say something really controversial. I think this is going to be controversial, but I need y'all to stick with me. To be honest, I wanted this movie to have a more stereotypical superhero plot, and what I mean by that is I'm tired of government bad or organization bad trope in superhero movies. I get that these stories are important, but at the same time, I want to see more POC superheroes not going against some government or organization, because I feel like when it comes to white superheroes, they're allowed to have actual supervillains fighting against them. But whenever there's a POC superhero or something, it always has to be against the government or against some organization. And I just want more supervillains that the POC superheroes are facing, you know?
You want us to have more fun.
Yes.
You want us to not have our struggles come from real life, but rather be a little bit more fantastical.
Yes.
I understand that completely, and I don't think that's controversial.
Okay. Thank you.
Because I feel the same way about Black stories.
I do hear a lot of people talking about how Black stories shouldn't just be about the Black struggle. There should be Black joy and everything like that.
Exactly.
Same thing with POC superhero stories. It doesn't always have to be about the struggle as a minority, you know? And it doesn't have to be as obvious that the government you're going against is supposed to be a reference to your minority status, you know? Yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest, and I feel like it needed to be said. I feel like the main villain in this movie is kind of generic. They did this type of villain in Miss Marvel, and I'm just tired of it. Give me better villains, to be honest.
Did you think that the main character was serving cunt?
The main villain character or Jaime?
Yeah, the main villain character.
I think she was okay.
Okay.
Did you think she was serving cunt?
I think she was I think she was a 6.5 on the cuntometer. Just because she had to bring white feminism into it. Mm-hmm. And I really think if she was just a bitch, then she would have been a more fun mean girl.
Yeah. When Carapax said your love for your family makes you weak, I literally groaned because I knew that they would go over that plot line. Like, I knew they were going to go back to that plot, and there was going to be the scene where Jaime is like, no, you're wrong. The love for my family doesn't make me weak. And I'm so tired of it, you guys. I just didn't want it to be there. I feel like that kind of stuff is overdone, and I feel like this movie could have been less goofy at times when it came to that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like overall I liked how goofy it was, but when it came to like how your love for your family makes you weak, when it came to that line specifically, it felt too goofy in a way that just didn't fit with the rest of the movie. Anyways, that's it.
Well, you had a controversial opinion. It's time for my controversial opinion. I love exposition via news cutouts in the beginning of movies. Some people think it's stupid, it's useless because it goes by so quick, they never give you enough time, there's too much going on. But especially with a movie like this, where there's already been like Blue Beetles before Jaime, and this movie is literally 2 hours long, putting this information in the beginning was necessary. Also, I just love it. I don't know why, but I love it. Okay, something I noticed, and this is really stupid, but the sister didn't wash her hands after shitting. Did anyone notice that? Did anyone notice that?
You notice so many things I don't, and I'm honestly glad I didn't notice that.
No, she literally flushed the toilet, and she came out, she's like, well, that was great. And it's like, girl, I can't be too mad though, because they were like cleaning this snobby rich white person's house. And I actually think it's kind of funny to like think about her getting her poop particles all over their silverware, you know? So she gets a pass only because this is a very specific scenario where I think it's okay. I think the Blue Beetle transformation was the most entertaining hero transformation I have personally seen. Okay, a third of the way through this movie, I was already getting irritated by Rudy. I know he's like the comedic relief, but he was yapping way too much. Like, there were points where I was like, dude, please just stop talking. Also, George Lopez cheated on his wife. Anyway.
It needed to be said. It needed to be said.
It needed to be said. Why did he get away with this?
Yeah, you said that, and I'm proud of you for saying that.
These are the things that should be talked about. I didn't like the house invasion scene, mostly because it was very upsetting. Like, very, very upsetting. And it did make me cry. So all I'll say is this. I feel like they made a good job of making it emotional, and the actors did a great job acting. I also will say the scene where Jaime is dying and he has his last conversation with his dad behind all those candles were very beautiful. Okay, so how do we feel about that bug fart? How do you feel about the bug fart?
Again, goofy to the point of overdoing it.
For me, it feels like the story goes from being goofy to serious to goofy to serious. But I don't think the transitions, I think they had transitions. I don't think it was super goofy to super serious. For the most part, the transitions I think were very well. Yeah, this was a fighting scene. It was like really intense, and then they had the bug fart. Okay, that was kind of funny. I didn't hate it as much as I thought as much as I feel like I should.
Okay, but here's my thing. You're telling, okay, so from what I'm understanding, the machine scarab that they were inside did it come from the same place as the scarab, or was it built after the scarab?
No. So Ted Cord, the Blue Beetle before him, he didn't have access to any of that, like, scarab. He didn't have access to scarab, so he made technology in inspiration of the scarab. So he made that Blue Beetle
Machine?
airplane or whatever. Yeah. So
Okay,
that's
that
Ted
makes more
Cord's
sense to
fault.
me.
That's a white
Yeah.
man's thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like if that's connected to the original scarab, then I don't know why that was there in the first place.
No.
Okay.
No.
Then I think that's fair, at least.
Okay. I think my favorite fight scene visually was the fight between Blue Beetle and the soldiers in the hallway underneath that castle. It was a mix of the fighting, choreography, and the song choice. Like I said before, I think the Blue Beetle fighting with people seemed more realistic, probably because there was less CGI used. And I think the less CGI, the better. I'm a big fan of stunt doubles and practical effects. And that's all.
Anyways, overall, I think this is a pretty decent superhero movie. I haven't watched that many superhero movies or superhero TV shows in general, and I think this is the best one I've seen by far. To be fair, I've mostly watched Marvel stuff before the boycott, and even back then I was like, the Marvel stuff is just okay. It isn't that decent. This, I feel like there's actually something a story I was trying to tell, and I feel like even though it was goofy at times, it still was serious enough for me to take the movie itself seriously. So yeah, I think this is like just a fun movie. It's really a shame that this movie was as successful as it was supposed to be. From what I've heard, it didn't do that well.
I would say it was a mix of the fact that we were in a pandemic, we're still in a pandemic, and there was a some sort of boycott going on with, I think it was after, what's it called? Like some
SAG
sort of,
AFTRA.
yeah, the SAG after strike, which I think affected this.
This probably didn't affect it as much as the other two, but I also did hear that the GCIU was getting rebooted at the time, so I'm not sure how much that affected Blue Beetle itself, because this Blue Beetle isn't going to be connected to the reboot at all, I believe. At least that's what I've heard. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that.
I will say it doesn't have to be, because this movie had zero connections to any outside superheroes. So I'm just saying they could move it to maybe not like the Batman like universe, but like they could move it wherever they wanted. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't have to be stuck in the hellhole that is the DCEU.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we get a sequel. We probably won't, but I just really want to learn more about Blue Beetle in general. Yeah, pretty fun movie.
My fear with the whole sequel thing is that, oh my gosh, they're gonna give him a buddy. They're gonna give him some other superhero and they're gonna do some other thing, and I don't think it's gonna be as good as the original story. It sucks that it took this long for them to make a good DCEU movie, in my opinion. Literally at the end of this universe's life, which is so tragic. The writing was pretty good. Absolutely loved how each character not only has a personality, but is integral to the story, and we get to lightly explore some of their backgrounds. Nana, Alberto, Carapax. We also got so much character growth for some of these characters. There were also heavy topics in here that I think were handled well. Once again, they didn't necessarily have to be in this story, but they were, and I feel like they did a pretty good job. I think the only thing that upsets me about this film is that it shows us that DC is capable of making good movies and writing good stories about fairly unknown superheroes outside of the comic sphere. And that is something I wish DC would continue to do. I wish they'd explore other superheroes, other stories, but not anytime soon. Please. I actually think DC needs to take a break from live action movies desperately. That being said, I cannot wait for the Batman Part 2.
Anyways, you guys, that's our thoughts on the Blue Beetle movie. If you want to send us a voice message on Spotify for podcasters, there'll be a link in the description to choose below. We also have a bunch of social media, which will all be in the description below. And that's everything, so goodbye. Yay.